Help us change the culture by buying our latest single from Timcast Records, Only Ever Wanted, by clicking the link in the description below. I want to jump to this story because this one was talk about rhetorical escalation.
Yes.
Karine Jean-Pierre reiterates that tens of millions of Americans are an extreme threat to our democracy and freedom. Their only supposed crime, they vote Republican. Again, the White House thinks Republicans are terrorists. She actually said that MAGA Republicans, that's 74 million people who voted for Trump.
That's a lot of people.
Are an extreme threat to our democracy. What do you think she's saying to the country and the world when she says something like that?
I think I know exactly what she's saying. I was talking to Libby about this a little bit before we started. I think the supply, wait, what am I trying to say here? I think the demand highly outstrips the supply of white nationalist terrorism, and they need people to be terrorists.
We were talking about that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they need people to be terrorists so that they can create false terrorism charges so that they can have the Department of Justice investigate their political opponents.
Did you see the Vox article several years ago? It was like 100 million Americans believe what white nationalists believe or whatever. And it was like some nonsense that had nothing to do with anything. It was like,
correct.
They agree with, market capitalism. That's what the other people believe.
White nationalism.
Yeah.
Hitler also drank water.
Meritocracy matters,
Yeah.
That's white nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is working hard and showing up on
but
time.
This is,
Remember, that's all white nationalists, apparently.
This is the White House literally coming out and saying to your face, as someone who opposes the Democrats and the woke cult, you are a threat to their government. Mm-hmm. Typically, things like this don't end well for countries when the official administration is coming out and saying half the people are a threat to us.
Well, that's correct. And there's just the other thing, too, is you have a current administration investigating the previous administration, right? And you also have current lawmakers who are Republican lawmakers saying that they are going to invest, if they take the Congress, that they are going to investigate the current administration. This is what goes on in, totally failed states. This is what goes on in countries that are falling apart is, look at Sri Lanka.
And what's happening here?
Right. Look at what happened in
Canada.
Right.
Canada.
Look what happened in Sri Lanka.
What did Trudeau, you see what Trudeau just said?
Yes.
About the reason people are angry is climate change?
Yeah. Climate change is one of the reasons there's so much anger today.
Is that why you're so angry, Chris?
That's why I'm out on the street trying to stop the sterilization of kids. It's getting so warm.
Trudeau just pledged $100 million for let me see if I can get the whole thing.
I can do it for you if you want.
Go for it. Do it.
So the 2S LGBTA, he forgot the I.
Oh.
And he only put one plus in there. There should be at least 3 pluses. And then there should be a WTF.
Yeah, honestly. That's fair.
But he always puts the 2S first because he's all about virtue signaling. And the 2S stands for two-spirit.
That's right.
Which is apparently, it's not true, but it's apparently indigenous cultures also used to believe that there were more than two sexes and you could be both sexes or none. Or
Double
whatever.
virtue signal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
That's all he
wow.
does.
Yeah.
A double virtue signal.
Yeah,
it is.
Powerful.
That's why it's first.
But this is the claiming the climate change is the problem. They just keep doing it. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, do people really believe this? Are they sitting there being like, I can't afford to eat, climate change? Or are they like, I want the government to, to stop banning fuel production and things like that?
The average Canadian. So here's what happens if you don't put a stop to what's happening in the US. Because I'm like the canary in the coal mine. We're already way past where you guys are. Things are terrible up there. We have 3 main media sources, all on the government payroll. CTV, CBC, and Global News. They would all be bankrupt if not for government money.
Wow.
And they just push Trudeau's agenda and they say whatever he wants. So the average person has no idea the truth about things because all they see is this lamestream media all the time. But my word, we've got the same problems you guys have. The whole world does. It's inflation, terrible economy, indoctrination, not education.
Feels like a controlled slow motion demolition.
Yeah, these people believe that words are violence. And
They believe that it's actual violence.
And
but that's because they've never experienced real hardship.
Like you saw the thing where Ben Shapiro showed up at Podcast Movement.
Presence.
Yeah.
So and good. His presence was actual harm.
That's right.
Even though everyone was stoked to see him there. And they were like, can I take pictures with you?
I put up a billboard about 2 years ago in Vancouver, a real billboard that said, I heart J.K. Rowling. A Vancouver politician said it was hate speech.
What?
And they took it down the next day.
Wow.
Love is hate.
Wow. Love.
It had a heart on it for the world's greatest children's author. and no sign company in Canada will deal with me.
Wow.
This is the state of things. So that's why I
Well,
had signs made, because I became a billboard and I go out and I have conversations. But freedom of speech is under attack. We're lied to constantly. And all the media do is stoke division. Same thing down here.
You know, I recall that a couple hundred years ago, we here Americans offered Quebec an opportunity to revolt against the crown, and they said no. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, they did.
Would have been the
say
14th colony, but they were like, nah, we're not interested. And we were like, oh, man, we really need their support. Oh, well, I guess not. And then we almost took you guys over. Do you remember that?
I
War of
think that might be
1812.
revisionist
1812.
history. I think
Yeah.
I think we burned down your White House and your Congress back in the
Well,
day.
well, no, Britain did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we-
but it was
we-
before Canada existed.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, fair point. We tried, I think we did occupy
Canada was
Montreal
what,
or something like that.
1865 Canada became a country?
1867.
In
Yeah.
67.
I think we occupied Montreal during the War of 1812 or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Montreal is
I mean,
worth occupying. It's
But
lovely.
it is awesome.
When you're not getting attacked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Right,
imagine
you
this.
got attacked.
What if we won and we took Montreal? Y'all be better off.
What would
Would
that
they?
give us?
Yeah, we'd be better off because they have a really large Antifa contingent. So if you want to take over them, that's fine with me.
Yeah, by all
Yeah.
means, take
Yeah, you
Montreal.
can have them.
Like, take DC.
Yeah, but if we did, it would be a bunch of MAGA. They'd all be walking around with American flags and
I wonder,
AR-15s.
yeah, I mean, I don't think the French Canadians would be that MAGA, though.
No, but who knows? Who knows, man?
And Montreal's different within
Road not traveled.
within the province. There's a lot of English speakers. It's very different compared to the rest of the province.
I'm just saying, you know, Canada sucks. Like, it's a great place with great food and great people, but I mean the government and what it's done to the country has just made it an awful place.
This is what happens if AOC was your president.
Wow.
I don't
This
want
is
that.
exactly what happens. Justin Trudeau, President Zoolander, is the AOC equivalent.
I love
up in
that.
Canada.
He talks like this.
It's also an example
it's
of
also fake.
what happens if you let your government be a puppet of a king and just pretend like you're not a puppet of a king. Like it's British. It's owned by the freaking queen. She decides who's in charge there. That's disgusting.
I don't think that's true of the provincial leaders.
can-
And they have the provincial leaders have a lot of
I'm
freedom.
pretty sure the Queen of England technically could intervene, but I don't know if it's politically.
In provincial, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
maybe.
and everything. I don't know if it's realistic, though.
I don't understand monarchy. It
Yeah,
seems so
it's
stupid
complicated.
To me.
We have there's this person called a governor general who's actually appointed by the prime minister, but is the representative of the queen.
You see, there it is.
It's just like a, what do you call it? Ceremonial sort of thing. But
Is it, though?
well, so here's what can happen. Because we don't have a two-party system like down here. We have 4 or 5 parties that get seats. So Justin Trudeau has a minority of the seats in government. So to pass any law, he has to get some other party to come along with him. So he ends up bribing some other party by giving them what they want. And that's always an even further left party. But at any time, he could be kicked out if the parties just said, no, we're not going to go along with you. And then a new election would get called. And it's the governor general who actually does that. So she does have some role. But as far as I can tell, that's about it.
I think we just look to Canada, and if we do not win the culture war, that's what's in store for us.
That's
so
right.
we're lucky in that regard that we get to watch it happen to you guys, and then be like, hey, we don't want that to happen here, so let's shore up our defenses. Get out and vote. Get out and vote in November and make sure.
There was a time in American history where there was a rebellion, a violent rebellion. People were shot. It was called Shays Rebellion. It was in 17.
Oh, yeah, the Shays Rebellion, that's right.
1783. It's right after the Revolution, and a bunch of farmers were being taxed for money they didn't have. So they rioted. They went to the courthouses over the course of like a week or multiple days and weeks or whatever, and violently surrounded them. The judges were like, I'm out of here. I'm not adjudicating. We're not going to steal their land. The governor cracked down hard. Like, he wanted people executed. He wanted people arrested. And he was calling people, I don't know if he was using the word terrorist, but calling, the whole insurgency thing. We got to go after people. The farmers are our enemies. And they were like, if you start killing Americans because they are revolting because they can't pay their taxes, that's a bad road to go down.
That's a very bad road to go down.
Eventually, John Hancock came back in, won the governorship, and pardoned everybody, except for 2 guys who were looters, and they got executed. But it was the pardon that it was like the road to banana republicanism. We saw it. Where it was just another cycle of the weak becoming strong, executing the weak, and trying to hold strength. And they
and now we have a
circumvented it.
situation where we have a president who told us that taxes were not going to be raised on people making under $400,000.
It's very
But that's a
much
trick.
like Bo
It's a
Dorn.
trick.
They are being raised, and they have employed all of these IRS agents.
And he's
It's
calling
not
people
just about
terrorists.
raising taxes. That's the trick.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is they say, we're not going to raise your taxes. No, we are going to just bill you on your existing taxes and claim you owe us and you can't fight it.
Yeah. But
it's-
they're also, I mean, they're
You get a
going
letter
after
in
the
the
middle
mail.
class again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the villainization of an entire group of people, like what they said about MAGA Republicans, is like this what Bo Dorn did in Massachusetts.
Well, and the MAGA Republicans are like, these are middle class small business owners, you know, nail shop owners out in the middle of Indiana or wherever, and they're going to end up paying a whole bunch more, get more pissed, and then be called terrorists.
Very
again.
much like history might repeat itself here, because in Massachusetts for Shays' Rebellion, the governor was out of his. It was Hancock was governor and saw the rebellion on the horizon. Was like, I'm resigning. I can't do this anymore. So he left. Then this new governor came in, became this tyrant, kind of like what Biden's doing, claiming people are terrorists. I don't like it. And then eventually Hancock was like, okay, I can't not do anything. He ran again, got back into the governorship, and pardoned people. Now, if we have a president runs again and then comes back into the presidency and pardons people, wouldn't that be an interesting revolution of the past?
You know what I read that was funny? That if Donald Trump is indicted and goes to prison or is in jail or whatever, and then is still running for president and wins, he can pardon himself.
Oh, is that right? Can you pardon yourself?
I think it's debatable.
Yeah.
I remember there was a lot of talk about this a few years ago. It would get challenged, but apparently he could.
I mean, what do you do when someone in prison is elected president? Just safe there, you know what I mean? I guess. Sort of safe,
Wow.
depending on what kind of prison he's in.
And I guess the charges would be things like obstruction of justice, mishandling of documents that are in your possession that you actually own.
That's what they're trying to go
Can you
for.
run for
Yeah.
president if you're in prison?
No, you can't.
Well,
actually,
but
I mean,
hold
he
on. They're
can't-
going after this records law that says if you obfuscate, manipulate, or destroy records, you can't run for office. That's what they're trying to do.
They just really don't want him to run again. Everything that they've been doing is about
It's the
that.
same thing with Shays' Rebellion. They wanted to strip these people of all their voter rights. They wanted to strip people of their land. They seized people's property. Like, they're trying to make them non-citizens. They were trying to make them non-citizens, and eventually it was just like, you can't do that. You can't make a country if you're making people non-citizens.
That's correct. Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.